Hi, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well, and thank you for joining for our quick bite presentation. So, as mentioned, today we'll be discussing advanced digital denture design. And for this particular presentation, obviously, I have used our 3Shape Dental Systems software, along with a couple of other components of CAMs, as well as different materials. The idea behind this advanced digital denture design presentation is specifically to do an immediate denture on the partial end of it. So basically, customer comes in and has the need of doing a partial denture, and within the same day, the possibility of actually getting that partial denture done, whether it's from printed approach or milled approach. For the presentation, we're going to start off with a small bio and the introduction as well. We'll talk about the case study and the scenario, how the case presents itself. We'll talk about the control panel tips and tricks for successful design creation. We'll jump ahead with case design and CAM creation, as well as production options and the final result. So for those who don't know me, I'm a registered dental technician based in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I've been working for Zahn Canada for the past almost 10 years. I started off with a sales specialty with my own territory, and then slowly shifted away to the technical support responsibilities, worked with North American technical support team, and now I'm managing the Zahn Canada technical support division. This is a small bio, which you will have access to it after our presentation on YouTube channel. For the introduction, I just took a couple of liners here in order to do a small introduction. So the idea behind it is to offer a fast and effective temporary partial denture with clinical and laboratory environment. Clinical meaning dental clinic, or even today, especially in Canada, denturist clinics. For laboratory environment, obviously we deal with models most of the time, so that will be an option as well, and you can tie in with this presentation. As we all know, the main challenge for these RPDs remain the fabrication, since it's metal-based composition. And why we categorized as a challenge is because not every laboratory has the capability to do the specific casting approach or even the design and services that might want to offer. However, with today's improved digital materials, it is possible to offer a complete RPD with just one visit of under 180 minutes. That's less than 3 hours. So basically, the patient comes in, has a need for partial with edentulous areas. We design and fabricate the upper RPD with 3Shape, printed, or even mill it. And then immediately we design and fabricate the edentulous areas using 3Shape dental systems, removables, and then mill it with Millbox CAM with SIM systems or Roland 52D. Now, this is my choice for this presentation. Obviously, if you go through the process, you will have on your end, your preferences in regards to printing or milling or however your design would come out to, and whatever you feel comfortable within your environment. I would like to start off with a couple of tips and tricks in 3Shape. So for those of you who are avid users of 3Shape, this probably is a familiar interface that you would see. I want to talk about the specific of going into control panel and choosing full dentures and design settings. This is something that we get as question in order to get more accessibility to tweak the design during the teeth design during the denture creation. For this specific case, I actually activated this denture teeth freeform in order to have access for morphing, adding, reducing, and smoothing materials during my case design. This is an example of when it's enabled. You will have this small icon that you see on the left available for you in order to get those handles as well as tools to modify your denture teeth. And this would be when you don't have that option enabled. It will simply just come in when you apply your library and it will stay like that with no option of actually morphing, adding, or even smoothing your teeth. This is another trick that I would like to share with you. I call it a trick, but some of you probably know already. However, this will give you the opportunity to activate a certain smile library for a specific approach of your modules. For example, this Vita PhysioDents that I have over here has been activated for all cases except full dentures. Now, if I activate for only full denture cases, then at that point, I will have access to this Vita PhysioDents during my design. And that will be on the right side, as you see in a drop-down menu. Well, you will have direct access to that RealView T3M library. Now, some of you might have the question, yes, but why do I need to activate this? Now, this is ideal for our today's presentation specific case, because what I did was with two different approaches, which we will discuss in about a couple of minutes. I always have the tendency to show this chart because this is really important, trying to understand what the capabilities and the teeth. This will give you an idea of what you can do with different brands. And in the table that you see over here at the bottom for the available for all users, enabled by library provider, as well as the not available, gives you an idea of what we can do with, for example, Ivoclar Vivident, Candelor. I don't want to go through the list, but as you see here, what does this mean? This means that, for example, for an Ivoclar user, in order to use their Phonaris or Blue Line library, they would need to reach out and ask the library provider to activate that library per se. Now we can do that for them with the permission of Ivoclar, and we also have the tendency to get in direct contact with them. But the most important thing is to actually communicate the dongle number where we would want to activate that library. Some libraries have fees behind it, but that's something that you can discuss with that specific vendor in question. This is the second page, and as you see, within that list, I personally like working most of them with Nobilium when I'm doing my demos because there's no actual limitations for me. I can go ahead and do all 4 different outputs with no issues with these Nobilium libraries that I use. This is great for finalizing a denture. This is great for demoing, great for training, great for sharing, great for practicing, because you will not have any blockage or any kind of pushbacks when you're moving forward with your design. Last but not least, it's just a small table that gives you an idea of what each term is. So as you see, there's 4 different capabilities: denture base with artificial teeth, and the picture, you know, it's just 1,000 words. Monoblock, bridge teeth, and separated teeth as well. So right now what I want to do is show you what I have done so far, as well as maybe discuss about the possibilities of what you will be able to do. So for those of you who are avid users of 3Shape, you know very well when you do an actual case, you have the capability to finalize as well as copy and append design. So for this particular case, as mentioned before, what I had was a patient who had some edentulous areas, and we wanted to do a partial and immediately do the actual resin and the teeth on top of it. So what I did was I took a case, I scanned it, and then from there on, I prepared my partial. So my partial was done, and I immediately went ahead and I milled my partial. Once I milled my partial, I was actually, my RPD, sorry, I'm using the term partial, it's from French. So what I did was I actually came back to my dental manager and I right-click, went to copy, and I did copy and append CAD design to preparation scan. So what this did was give me an actual scan information where my RPD is embedded into my model at this point. So I have finalized my RPD and I have embedded digitally onto my model. So I have appended on my model. And from there on, I created another actual order form and chose my denture base and artificial teeth. So what that gives me, it gives me the opportunity to actually create and arrive to a situation where I can design my base and have my teeth live, where I can play around with any kind of options I want. This particular case that you see here, I have created my base as well as implemented my Vita Bionic Vigo teeth, where I would have my pockets created at the end when I finish my CAD. What I would like to touch base here is the following. I know that we have the grid right underneath, and this might create some imperfections. But the tool that I used in order to smooth it out, once you bring it in, you actually have access to smooth out with your smoothing tool on the Sculpt Denture side. So why I like doing this digitally, it's because I can activate the minimal thicknesses over here, the mapping of the minimal thickness. Yes, some of you will say, well, I can just grind it by hand. Yes, you can, not a problem. However, digitally, you will see the minimum thicknesses when you're going in or out of your material. And for this particular instance, I would come in and I would just activate my allow sculpting on inner surface right over here on the left side, and just choose my radius and go ahead with just the smoothing feature over here in order to smooth it out and to finalize that way so that I can finish it off with a smoother surface on the internal side. Now, this was just the example of it. Obviously, I have finished it. So what happens next is when you save the CAD, you will generate the STL, and then from there on, you will go ahead and you will push it towards the CAM software. For my CAM software specifically, I have used Millbox. Now let's go ahead and see what we have created as far as the actual STLs. So if I come in, I would go ahead and just click that case that I have created. And to show you how it looks like, I had also activated the positioning guide. So let's go to Advanced, Explore Order, and then let's go to CAD so that we can see what we have created. And this would be the case where I had bridged it together. And you will see some examples at the end of my presentation. I have actually took pictures of it. And as you see, this was a bridged case where I have milled a bridge with PMMA resin. And then at the end, what I can do is I can actually elute it with my base that I have designed as well. So ideally, I would transfer it onto my Millbox, as you see over here. This was my bridged case. I would bring in my STL, position it in my Millbox, and then give the command to mill it. I just want you to pay attention to how long it will take to mill. You see here it says 20.97 minutes. I would give plus minus 5 minutes to consider the time that we need in order to change burrs, etc. However, in less than 25 minutes, you would have this space already done. Another question might pop up by asking, how many minutes would that PMMA bridge be in order to finalize the milling? Well, as you see here, it's 12 minutes and 78 seconds. Again, plus minus maybe 4 to 5 minutes, under 20 minutes. So under 45 minutes, you would have the actual resin base and you would have the 3-unit bridged. If I jump ahead and I look at the Vita one that I did, which are the pocketed ones, then at this point I would have 29 minutes and 33 seconds, just a bit over the one that you saw before. However, it's again less than 35 minutes. But the most important comparison here is that you actually are going to buy these teeth carded and you will lute them without actual milling of the teeth. So you're saving the time of what you spend in order to mill this 3-unit bridge. So again, it's really a question of what fits your needs and your environment and what are the actual possibilities for you. You might have certain specifics and preferences with certain brands. However, for my demonstration purposes, I wanted to cover the two areas. I wanted to cover the actual 3-unit bridged area as well as carded teeth area. But all this to say that within 3 hours, your patient can walk in if you have a clinical practice, let's say a denturist practice, you can actually produce that model, whether it's from intraoral scan or a classical alginate conventional alginate impression, pour it and then process like the steps that I showed you today. We're going to go back to my presentation because I would really want to share what I had done during my creation of this case. So as you see, this was the one that we were discussing for the 3-unit bridged denture. So as you see here, my partial is already done, my RPD is already done. There's a bit of powder on it because I used a tabletop E-series scanner and I wanted to make sure that I grasp all the information properly. So what I did was I scanned the partial, I appended the design, and then I went ahead and I scanned the model for my, so let me just take it back. I appended the design and I went ahead and designed my resin base as you see here. And from there, I actually designed my 3-unit and bridged it together. But for my following example, we cleaned our partial, our RPD, and we scanned the model in order to create this resin base and then go ahead and fit these on top of the RPD. And as you see, these are the pocketed ones. So it really fits like a glove. So what we did was we ordered the Vita Bionic series. And then once it came in, we went ahead and we just took it from the card and positioned it on top of the resin base as you see here. So it comes in different packaging, obviously, for those of you who are very familiar with denture teeth. And then I made a quick video to show you how, and by the way, there's no actual luting agent at all at this point. I have just used my basic defaulted specific parameters for this design, and this is the result that you're going to see. So just take that tooth and drop it in. Take the other one, drop it in, and it fits like a glove. I had spent probably maybe 2 minutes just to cut my connectors and finish my connector areas. I did not spend more than 5 minutes in total. What's really beautiful about this is that when that resin comes out or that material comes out of the milling machine, it's almost 90% done. So you just need to polish it with your conventional methods. And then once it's luted, of course, once your teeth are luted, and then just finalize it and send it away. So at this point, as mentioned before, under 180 minutes, I was able to finalize what you see here. And that's basically it. I mean, I don't want to go into depth of it. My personal preference was to use basic, very generic clear PMMA for my RPD. And then I used the key mill from Keystone Pig Base. I also used the generic PMMA disc for my bridged teeth. And then obviously for my strategies, my choice was Sierra Dental Tools for Millbox and Roland 52 DCI, as well as Vita Bionic Vigo teeth. So that's it for my presentation. We had an interval of 30 minutes. We had the total time of 30 minutes. I think we're up to almost 20 minutes. I will give yourself a couple of minutes for some question and answers.
Thank you so much, Raz. We do have a couple of questions. The first one being, How much does it cost per denture?
Okay, that's a very popular question that we get on the technical support line. And unfortunately, I can't really answer that question because we do not have access to any kind of pricing on the technical side. But we do have the tendency to shift away and slowly transition and politely ask them to reach out their CAD/CAM specialists or even their sales specialists. If they don't know who their sales specialists are, we have the tendency to take that information and internally do the research and have someone call them back with those specific conversations. There's all kinds of ROIs, I know for a fact internally, but I'm sure we can get that answer. However, I do not have an answer right now since I don't have access to pricing and numbers.